This is the complete guide to 1-hour private ceremonies at San Francisco City Hall. While civil ceremonies are what most people think of when considering a courthouse wedding, San Francisco City Hall offers an option to rent out a private area within its hallowed walls. Private ceremonies are a wonderful way of bridging the gap between the impersonal civil ceremony and the more expensive option of booking an entire venue. You'll get your own private area to host your ceremony with up to 100 guests, but without the huge price tag. What are the differences between civil and private ceremonies at San Francisco City Hall? Let me first break down the key differences between these two options. Civil ceremonies are limited to 6 guests in total. They take place Monday to Friday between 9 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. and they cost a little over $100. They occur in the rotunda or other assigned small spaces and must be booked within a 90-day window. You'll get a standardized 3 to 4 minute ceremony with an officiant that's provided by City Hall. There's no access to City Hall staff in advance, no ability to personalize vows, and no choice of ceremony location. You can't reschedule, you must check in 15 minutes before your ceremony, and there's minimal flexibility overall. Private ceremonies, on the other hand, offer significantly more options. They take place during similar hours but can accommodate up to 100 guests. The rental costs $1,000 plus the chair rental, and you can choose between 2 beautiful locations, the mayor's balcony or the 4th floor north. You can book up to 24 months in advance and get a full hour for your ceremony. You'll provide your own officiant, have access to a City Hall event specialist for planning, and can customize your ceremony exactly as you wish. There's also the option to choose time slots and soft hold dates. There's no day of check-in required, and there's considerably more control over your entire ceremony experience. So what are the key benefits of a private ceremony over a civil ceremony? Private ceremonies provide substantially more benefits while remaining a relatively affordable choice. You'll get more privacy, greater customization options, and a higher guest limit. The dedicated ceremony area and the ability to book up to 2 years in advance gives you significantly more control over your wedding experience. What are the different areas available for private ceremonies in more detail? There are 2 beautiful areas available for private 1-hour ceremony rentals, the 4th floor north gallery and the mayor's balcony. The 4th floor north gallery is filled with natural light, offering a spacious area with a long aisle flanked by beautiful stone arches. The architecture here creates a stunning backdrop for your ceremony and photos. The mayor's balcony sits directly opposite the grand staircase on the 2nd floor. While it can be slightly noisier given its central location in the building and tends to be a little darker at most times of the day and the year, it offers an iconic ceremony location. The aisle is a little shorter here and the space is more intimate. What times are available for rentals? The 4th floor north offers 4 daily time slots: 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. The mayor's balcony, meanwhile, has 3 available times: 10 a.m., 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. They are staggered, so there are not private ceremonies happening at the same time. These rentals are available Monday through Friday, excluding holidays and any days in which City Hall is closed for private events. How much do private ceremonies cost? Private ceremonies are priced at $1,000 for a 1-hour rental of your chosen area. This fee covers only the space rental. You'll need to arrange and pay separately for any additional elements like chair rental, officiant, musician, photographer, florist, and any other vendors that you wish to include. Are there any additional fees beyond the base package? You'll need to pay for chair rental if you want seating for your guests. City Hall offers 2 options for chairs: a simple wooden folding chair or the more ornate padded gold chivari chairs. The cost varies depending on your selection and the number of chairs needed. Currently, it's $3.50 for the folding chairs and $7.50 for the chivari chairs. Keep in mind that chair rental isn't mandatory if you have no guests or if you prefer a standing ceremony, so you can skip this additional expense. How do you book a private ceremony? The booking process starts at the San Francisco City Hall events page. You'll have access to the availability calendar, which shows both open dates and those requiring a challenge deposit. Once you begin the process, you'll be assigned an event specialist who can answer any questions about your rental. While having a dedicated event specialist is helpful, be aware that response times may vary and they may not be able to address some of the more nuanced questions about your ceremony. How far in advance can I book a private ceremony? You can secure your date up to 24 months in advance. City Hall requires a minimum of 3 weeks notice to process contracts and payments. However, in reality, slots get reserved much faster than that. It's common for the next available date to be months away. How private is it? Will we have random people in our photos? These areas are more accurately semi-private rather than completely private. Your space will be cordoned off with velvet rope and marked with your names, but bystanders can still approach the rope and observe. Occasionally, curious onlookers may even enter the ceremony space. Both of the private rental areas overlook public parts of the building where other people may be taking their own photos. When you book with us, we remove those random background people from your final ceremony photos, romantic shots, and group formals, a service that many photographers do not offer unless it's for an extra price. The main point is to be aware that City Hall is open and bustling during the time that you'll be having your private ceremony. How many guests can attend the 1-hour private ceremonies? The 4th floor can seat up to 60 guests, while the mayor's balcony accommodates 40 seated guests. However, both areas have an official upper limit of 100 guests in total, so any guests beyond the seated capacity would stand for the ceremony. How early should guests arrive? Guests should arrive well before your ceremony time. For example, with a 3 p.m. ceremony, guests should be seated by 2:45 p.m. at the latest. They can arrive as early as 2:15 p.m. when the previous group should be finished and your chairs would be set up. For chronically late guests, I strongly recommend telling them an earlier start time. Late arrivals can impact your photography timeline, and we cannot extend the rental time with City Hall. It ends exactly on the hour, and there are no exceptions to that. What should I let guests know in advance? It's important to provide clear information to help your guests navigate the day smoothly. They should know transportation details, whether you're providing a shuttle, parking information. The best garage is directly across the street, and it is the Civic Center garage. Building entry, so allowing time to go through security lines, and just personal items, trying to keep them very minimal to avoid cluttering up the ceremony space or getting stolen. Prohibited items, what not to bring into City Hall, and also what's going to be happening post-ceremony, so where do they need to go during your photo time. Navigation instructions, like how to find your ceremony area. So on that note, here are the specific directions for finding each ceremony space. For the mayor's balcony, enter through the main entrance on Polk Street, also known as Dr. Carlton B. Goodlett Place. After security, walk 25 feet in and find the elevators on your left. Hit number 2 in the elevator. Turn left immediately upon exit and you're at the mayor's balcony. You'll see a velvet rope and signs with the couple's names. For the 4th floor North Gallery, enter through the main Polk Street entrance, also known as Dr. Carlton B. Goodlett Place. After security, walk the 25 feet to the elevators on your left. Hit number 4 in the elevator. Upon exiting, make a right and then immediately left down a short corridor until you see a large, spacious area to your left. It will be set up with chairs and a velvet rope and sign with the couple's names. What is a typical timeline taking into account photos for the 1-hour private ceremony? For a 3 p.m. ceremony, as an example, here is how the timeline typically flows. 2:30 till 2:45, guests would arrive and get seated. At 3 o'clock, the ceremony rental time begins. 3 o'clock till 3:30, the ceremony takes place. 3:35 until 3:55, it's the formal group photos, and by 4 p.m., everyone must exit the space. Some additional timeline considerations. Chairs are usually set up when the previous booking ends, typically an hour, a little bit under an hour before your time. Start your ceremony as soon as possible after your rental time begins to ensure time for all of your formal groupings. After the ceremony, designated guests can help move the chairs out of the space while your photographer captures the candid congratulatory moments. Staff strictly enforces the end time, so there is no flexibility to remain in the space after your hour. When do we take romantic photos? For morning ceremonies, I typically capture the romantic photos before the ceremony, and for afternoon slots, we tend to shoot after the ceremony. The building sees peak traffic between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., so we try to work around those busy hours if possible. If your ceremony time doesn't allow avoiding these peak hours, that's totally fine. We're experienced at working around other people and activities in the building. Do you have access to other public areas of the building to take photos? Yes, you can use any publicly accessible areas for photos, providing you're not disrupting another ceremony. Popular spots like the grand staircase might require waiting brief periods during busy times, but this is normal and that is factored into the timing. What is the typical ceremony process? Unlike civil ceremonies, you won't have to check in prior to your private ceremony. Simply head to your designated area before your start time. Your officiant or photographer can coordinate with your musician for the processional music to start. You can customize the ceremony completely walk down the aisle with a parent or loved one, exchange personal vows, include special rituals. After reaching the altar, your officiant welcomes the guests and shares your story. Most couples choose to exchange personal vows, followed by a ring exchange and your first kiss as a married couple. After the ceremony, you can recess back down the aisle for a private moment together before rejoining guests for photos. Can we have a wedding party at a 1-hour ceremony? Absolutely. You can have a traditional wedding party stand with you during the ceremony, dressed in your wedding colors and walking in processional groups. Just remember to allocate enough time for wedding party photos, as these tend to be a little bit more involved than the standard group shots. They go beyond the simple smile at the camera poses. Can we personalize our ceremony beyond the standard format? Yes, you can add many personal touches to your ceremony. Some of the most popular and unique options that I've seen include having your dog walk you down the aisle, including meaningful readings, incorporating a ring warming ritual, adding a hand fasting ceremony, setting up memorial seats with framed photographs, having your musician play for a first dance, creating a display table with photos and guest books, live streaming for absent loved ones. If you're considering a special element but you aren't sure about the rules, check with your event specialist. What are the restrictions on decorations or setup? City Hall maintains specific restrictions on decorations and setup. There is no use of electrical outlets, no naked flames or incense, no confetti of any kind, no amplified music or vocal singing, hand-supported chuppahs only and with advance approval, no food or drink services permitted, floral installations must be under 3 feet tall, there's no posting signs elsewhere in the building, there is no storage of items before or after your event. Where do you wait before walking down the aisle? While there's no dedicated holding area, both of the ceremony spaces have nearby corridors behind where you can stay hidden from guests. You'll find benches where you can wait comfortably until your ceremony begins, staying out of sight until the processional music starts. Is the Justice of the Peace available for the 1-hour ceremony? No, City Hall officiants only perform civil ceremonies. For private ceremonies, you will need to provide your own officiant. That could be a professional or an ordained friend or family member. What vendors do couples typically book? Most couples will book a photographer, a hair and makeup artist, a florist for a bouquet and boutonniere set, and some will also include a professional officiant, a ceremony musician that must be from City Hall's approved list. A smaller number of folks opt to add on floral installations, a videographer, and a wedding coordinator. Do you need a wedding coordinator or planner for a private ceremony? Generally, I would say a coordinator isn't necessary. Out of the hundreds of private ceremonies that I've photographed, only about, I would say, 5, maybe 7 included a planner. However, you might want to consider adding a planner or coordinator if you have extensive setup needs at City Hall, if you want exceptional efficiency in managing the announcements and transitions, if you have many guests needing guidance, if you are planning a reception requiring setup coordination, you have complex floral installations needing oversight, or you just want the added peace of mind. How do you find vendors for your private ceremony? Google, Yelp, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are all excellent resources for finding photographers, officiants, hair and makeup artists, and florists. My clients receive access to a curated list of vendor recommendations specific to private ceremonies, all vetted through years of experience working together. How far in advance would you recommend booking vendors? Book as soon as your ceremony is confirmed. There is nothing to lose by securing vendors early, but popular vendors often book up 18 months in advance, especially for prime dates. Wedding vendors are accustomed to extremely long booking windows, so you're unlikely to be too early to inquire. Waiting too long means missing out on your preferred vendors. Is there anything the ceremony must have to ensure that we are compliant? When renting a private area, you're only securing the space. City Hall has no jurisdiction or oversight over your ceremony content. Your ceremony could be anything from a legal wedding to a vow renewal or a purely ceremonial celebration. Are witnesses required for private ceremonies? For legal ceremonies, you need at least one witness to sign your marriage license with the option for 2 witnesses. If you're eloping without guests, your photographer can serve as your witness at no extra charge. What happens if we need to cancel or reschedule our 1-hour rental? The cancellation policy varies, but here is what I understand. Challenge deposits are non-refundable and non-transferable. Regular bookings cancelled more than 6 months before the date will receive a full refund. Cancellations less than 6 months out can transfer the deposit to a new date by within 12 months. What are some insider tips for a smooth and photo-worthy City Hall private ceremony? From my experience photographing hundreds of ceremonies here, I would say appoint someone authoritative to manage the guest seating. Clear instructions help ceremonies to start on time. Have a plan for guest belongings, so strollers, bags, jackets, and gifts can really clutter the ceremony area and impact photos. They can also be kind of in the way when you're trying to walk down the aisle. Consider adding color. The neutral architecture really makes colors pop beautifully in photos. This could be through flowers, attire, or even coordinated guest clothing. Organize group photos efficiently. Start with the largest groups first and work down to the smaller ones. Having a clear list helps tremendously. Plan for the hour's end. When facilities workers collect chairs, guests need to gather their belongings quickly. Have someone make announcements about what happens next. When you are ready to lock in a photographer, be sure to give me a shout at the link in the description below. My team and I have tons of experience photographing private 1-hour ceremonies at San Francisco City Hall. We can help you with everything from finding your vendors to creating your timeline to making sure that we have created an experience that is actually right for you and it's not just going through the motions of what works for other people. We would love to hear from you and to be able to craft something that speaks to your unique love story.